Hi guys, the name is Mark, and I'm gonna do a little video here, and maybe quick, maybe not. Um, Anyhow, I just want to share a few more things with you. I know I don't have too many viewers and followers, not that I care, because a lot of people don't like the truth, and that's fine. And a lot of people say, well, your words and your wordplay, and people, I hate to break your bubble, burst your bubble, but not an ounce of this garbage is mine, okay? And let those who have eyes to see, see, and those who have ears to hear, hear, okay? So we'll call this a war of words, okay? If you take the D and the S out of words, it sounds like war. So you have a war of words. And then if you take sword and you take the S out of sword, you have word. So you're back to a war of words because people are tired of using swords to kill people, okay? So there's a lot of deception, and everything is always taking out of context. And now you're dealing with cons and text, and they're trying to deliver a message, mess and age of the mess, dealing with cons and text. Okay, people. So we have a war of words, and you take the S out of sword, and you have word. You add an S to a word, and you have sword. You take the D and the S out of word, and you have war. And everything deals with current. Okay, you're an electrical charge, so that's why like people run around and they'll say like words like "Are you in charge?" They don't even realize that they're talking about electricity, right? Like say we use the word current, right? Where do you find the current? Down by the river. Where do you find banks? They're called river banks. Down by the river, right? And they call this currency. So you people are using things that have received an electrical charge, say on a positive or a positive or negative charge, and they will call this currency, right? Money, right? So everything you find is down by the water. You take the D out of driver's license and you have a river's license, right? Why does everything have to do with the waterways and the Sea of Commerce and, say, a ship, citizenship, right? You take the C out of craft or you're crafty, right? Well, you take the C out and you have raft, right? So, which raft, craft, right? So obviously it's a spell, and if you look at spell, you have spell and then in, so spell in, and then just add a G, right? So you have spell in a spell, right? So all these words like people use, and they're not even sure where they come from. Like say for example, who's in charge? Why would you put somebody in charge, right? Are you electing somebody, right? Elect, right? Elect is a short derivative from electricity, electri and city, right? Everything in electrical comes in threes. Like if you take P divided by I times E or whatnot, pi, right? And you have electricity, power, right? And so everything comes in threes with these people or sevens or whatever, you know. And so a lot of this nonsense is nonsense because like you'll go to the electoral polls to elect a politician. Poles are terms used for a negative pole and a positive pole, and now you have a battery. Now you have a cell, right? What would they put you in? They would put you in a jail cell. Do you know your sentence structure? Because they may offer you a death sentence, right? And then people run to school and they're taking courses, and you take the U out and they're taking curses. And while everybody's learning, you take the L out of learning, they are earning, and you are getting a less on. So you're not getting more, you're getting a less on. And they call this programming because you are being programmed. What is a gram? It's a unit of weight. It's a measurement of weight, right? People run around and like they'll say, what? Well, what in electricity is WATT, which is, that they will pronounce it as a watt. A watt is anything that, like if you have a 60-watt light bulb, well, it's producing 60 watts of heat, and this is measured in watts. And now you're back to power. Hence, that's why the cops, when they come for you, they are packing heat. Okay. And basically, a gun is a phallic symbol. Like, did you shoot to thrill? Right? And everybody goes to school and they're learning all these new skills. And you take the S out of skill and you have kill. Okay. So do you have the skills to pay the bills? Do you have the kills to pay the bills? Right? Even say back to the Navy or the military and stuff, they call them privates. Well, what are your privates? Your privates are your privates, right? And it comes with pubic hair, and if you want it to go public, you just add an L, and now you have public. So now you've gotten out of the pubic, the private, into the public. And this is how stupid things are, people. So again, we're back to a war of words. I see society fighting, people fighting and arguing all the time and stuff, and they don't even know why they're fighting. Like, I'm always right, and you're always wrong, and you're always wrong, and I'm always right, and you're always right, and I'm always wrong. And people will kill you. They're called heretics, and they will kill you because of this, right? You're almost back to a parable, parable. Are you able to talk at par? Because QRST in the English language spells Christ. And you're in an alpha bet. There's a bet that there's an alpha, and you don't know that you're in a bet. So you're being deceived, right? So I just wanted to share this with you people. Like, you live in a city, that's short for electricity, right? And then you have another form of current, which is called ampacity, amp a city. So, and then you have electricity, and you are voting for these people to be in charge, right? That's why, like, they call them electricians in the electrical field, right? And so now you're electing somebody, elect, and elect comes out of electricity, right? When you really start looking at these words, like you heard the term, stop being so phony. Well, where would this term come from? Phony is a derivative from Phoenicians, right? Hence the term phony. Stop being so phony, or the phoenix. Phoenician, take the N out, right? Phoenix, okay? So when you look at things, you start to come out of the spell and you start to come out of the context of the message, because we live in an age of the mess, hence the message, right? So when you come out of this, people, you start realizing that a lot of people, they will argue with you and stuff, and they're using terms and words, and they think they are so smart, and the whole thing is preposterous, because even the word smart, back in the day, if somebody whacked you over the hand with a ruler, it would smart. It would hurt. So are you so smart that it hurts? And are you so smart that you would kill your neighbor to the point that it hurts because you have a point to prove? So you're back to the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, why would the pen be mightier than the sword? Because people got tired of running around killing each other with swords, so now they run around and they kill each other. Take the K out of kill, you have ill. They kill each other with words, with wars of words, a barrage of words and wars. And you take the D out of words and you have wars. And you take the W out and everybody's using their oars running around on a ship. Now you're back to seamen. Semen, Seamen, or semen that comes out of your penis, right? And then you're back to pens, and everybody runs around with a stiff pen signing things, and you take the G out of sign and you have sin. And where would they put you? They would put you in a pen. You will owe with a pen every time you sign with a pen. And they put pigs in pig pens, for God's sakes, people. Like, people, I can't make this shit up. And then they call it soul trading, and they're trading chattel notes, and you take the H out of chattel and you have cattle. So you're dealing with cattle notes, and basically, like, it's, people say, well, you're such a pig. Where do these terms come from? Like, you have to look at things, right? Because we live in a very gluttonous society where everybody's running around being pigs, and they don't give a shit whether it affects you or not, because they are oink oinks. They're piggly wigglies, right? So all these terms, like even mortgage, engage, muertos, this is a hard word to say, means death. So if you take Mort and Gage, now you're making a death pledge. Okay, so are you paying your death pledge? Speaking of paying, right? Pay in, right? You have a parent, right? Parents would pay the rent, hence a parent, right? Like the mailman, you take the M out and you have ailman, ailment, and just add a T. And meanwhile, these ailments or these mailmen run around dropping off bills, B-ills. And wouldn't you get sick if you couldn't afford to pay your B-ills? And they will deliver this to you in the mail. And if you take M out of mail, you have ail. Maybe you have an ailment because you are receiving too many B-ills and you are no longer in charge. So when you look at words like pie, power is over E times I, which spells pie. So did you get a piece of your pie? Do you wonder where things come from, people? Like, I can't make this shit up. You live in a city, hence electricity. You are electricity. If I measure you here and a lead to the ground, I'm going to get a voltage off you, right? And now you're into the age of the voltage, right? So you can see where I'm going with all this. And like the nonsense and the bullshit, people just go on. Like, not an ounce of this garbage is mine. And then people will, well, your wordplay. And like, honestly, people, we run around, we live in a world where people are confused, con and fused. Now they're fused by cons. You're back to electricity here, right? Fusion, fused, right? You know, and you take the F out of fusion and you have use ion or us ion, maybe ions of the atmosphere, right? So you really have to look at things because like I say, like, please come packing heat, and then they will say freeze. Why would they tell you to freeze? Freeze is basically a term for death, right? So they're telling you to freeze, and what would they put a corpse on? Well, they would put a corpse on a bed of ice, right? And then you have the military corps corpse, right? So is this, and you take the M out of military and you have ill-I-tear, right? Military, right? So you're back to a lot of words. You take the P out of ill and you take the P out of pill and you have ill. You take the S out of skill and you have kill. You take the S and the K out of skill and you got ill. So do you have the skills to pay the B-ills, right? And then people run around, they go get a license, which is derived from the word licentiousness, which means acts of the wicked. So everybody's in a spell. They're deriving things from acts of the wicked. And you look at love and you spell it backwards and you have evil, right? Live is evil, evil is live. And nobody pays attention to where these words come from, what they mean, and like, yes, a lot of things are born of sound and stuff, but like, this is why you were told to come out of Babylon, my people, unless ye want to partake in her sins, right? And you take the G out of sign and you have sin, and then you have a word like signature, sin at you're at sin if you're not pronouncing the G. And people will go, wow, that's just horseshit, and I'll kill you because you're wrong. And so you can see here that we have a war of words, and no two people can play in the same sandbox and agree to anything anymore because they're at a war of words with their neighbors, right? Even neigh is a horse term. Neigh, neigh comes from like your horse would neigh, and you live beside neighbors, and then you're getting married, right? Mare is a term from mare, a horse, right? So you look at things and it's all just a pile of horse shit. So I just wanted to share this with you, people. I could go on for months and days. We live in a world that's full of witchcraft, and you take the W out of witch and you have itch. So you have an itch craft. You take the C out of craft and you have a raft, right? You take the D out of bank draft and you have a raft. Why is everything down by the sea The river's license, do you see what I'm talking about? The letter C, SEE, or SEA. Do you see what I'm talking about? You would know if I actually told you, because you're not sure what you're seeing because you're in the message. You're in the context of the mess age, the age of the mess. Now, I have numerous videos on this stuff, people, but I just wanted to share this with you because so many people are caught up in the spell. They're having a war of words with everybody. Everybody thinks they're right. Nobody can be wrong. And this is the bastardization of society and of evil. So, are you living or are you evil? You're back to live or evil. Take your pick, right? And so I just wanted to share this with you, people. Like, there's just so much nonsense, and people aren't aware that you are L of her, L of him, Elohim, and you are L, which is L. And what is an L in electricity or in the English language? It's a 90-degree angle. And when you study electricity, elect and try and city, okay, the try usually means 3, and then you're back to like V over I times R, or P over I times E, and so did you get your slice of the pie, right? And hence the term, did you get your cake, and did you eat it too? People do not know where this stuff comes from, or a slice of the pie, or why they call pizzas pie, or why they call a piano a pie, and no, okay? So I can't make this shit up, people. When you simply look at things, you will start to determine that, whoa, life is a mess, and we live in the age of the message, the mess age, right? So please, people, come out of the spell, come out of Babylon. There's even a new program on how to speak all these different languages, and what do they call it? Babel, right? And you were told to come out of Babylon unless ye wanted to partake in her sins, right? So when you start coming out of the spell and you start realizing, like, I live in a world where I can't have normal conversations with people because people are not even on the same plane, and then they will run around and they will explain themselves. You were never supposed to explain yourself and take yourself off of your higher plane, okay? You're meant to be on a higher plane, which is up here, not on a lower plane, and you take the L out of lower and you have ower, and you will be an ower. You will owe. You'll be an ower of a debt. We live in a debt-based society, and so see I tie, and everybody's been tied to this socii tie. And usually, like governments, like here in Canada, they call it Canada Employment and Multicult. You are all is multiculturalism. You are not supposed to be part of a cult, belong to a cult. And what is a cult? A cult is anything that you should not belong into, and you pay taxes and you pay money to be a part of this cult, okay? Cult you are all societies are very bad, okay? People, bad, be, add, right? You're adding something that is not very good, Good, right? Or take one O out. You're adding something that's not very godlike, good, God, right? So I just wanted to share this. Please, Stella, stay out of the spell. I could go on with the shit for months and days. Just look at the words, do you take the B out of Bill and you have ill, right? Be ill. And the mailman, the ailman or ailment will drop off a bill, and you will get sick when you are not paying these be ills, and you will be ill because now you've received an ailment, right? And you just add an M and take the T out and you have mailmen, right? So people are running around, and even back to the cops, they'll tell you to freeze. Why would you tell somebody to freeze? Like, people use words all the time and they don't even know why they're using them, because the police are running around dealing with a dead society who don't even know they're alive. They haven't even truly lived yet. They're all running around trying to make a living, and instead they seem to have forgot that they are a living. Okay, so now they're trying to make a living as opposed to being a living, and now they're living a lie, and some may call that a belief. And if you take the F out of belief, you have be-lie, because you are now be-lying in something that you know absolutely nothing about. It's like all these people. This is kind of the society we live in. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong, and nobody can agree. And like, people truly don't understand or know shit until they've had the experience of something. It's like these people, well, yeah, well, I can imagine what it's like to have a baby. How could a guy even imagine what it's like to have a baby when the baby does not physically come out of him? It's preposterous. It's like me pouring water on your hand and saying to everybody, how did that water feel after I poured it on somebody's hand? Some people, oh, that feels so cool, and the other people, that feels cold, and oh, that feels so nice and relaxing. But here's the thing, you people are not inside the person that I just poured water on their hand, and yet everybody's an expert. And you look at the word expert, and you have ex and per. So they are no longer proper. Now they are experts, and dealing with experts, they're called brokerages, and they're called brokers. And if you take the R and the S out of brokers, you have broke. And so you want to get rich, and you take the R out of rich, and you have itch. So do you have the itch to get rich? And now you want to deal with a broker, thinking that, assuming, assume, and me, that you're going to make money when you're dealing with a broker. You see where I'm going with this, people? So please, people, everything's back to the waterways and the ship, friendship, trusteeship, all these terms. Why are they on a ship? Why are they called merchants, mare and chant? Because they would chant mares, right? And and everybody's going to a sale at these stores. Do you see ship sales around, right? And of course, these stores are all open for business, and you take the out of open, and you have pen, and everybody's running around putting themselves in debt with a pen by signing things, and you take the G out, and they're sinning things. You see where I'm going with this, people? So you're not supposed to be a sinner with a pen, and should you be a sinner with a pen, they will put you in a penitentiary, or a pen, which is short for the long term, penitentiary, and penitentiary has another key word, 10, right? So it's now you've been 10 times crossed, right, with all this bullshit. So anyhow, people, I'm just going to leave it at this. I could go on for days and months and weeks, and like I say, you're back to current, right? And where do you find the current? Down by the river. Where do you find banks? Most banks in major cities are down by the riverbank. Hence, that's why they were called river banks, right? We even have a service credit union, SERVUS, out west, and it's called Service. And if you look up Black's Law, and it says service, 2 words, a slave. Right? So, are you a slave? Do you live in Yugoslavia, right? Slavia, right? And just look at the pronunciation and how they pronounce these words, because you take the D out of words and you have wars, and everybody's at a war with words, and they got tired of killing man with swords, and you take the S out of sword, and now you have word, and that's why the pen is mightier than the sword, people. I can't make this shit up, and they are destroying lives by writing something down on a piece of paper, and then everybody's running around going, well, I have rights. The U.S. Constitution says I have rights. So this piece of toilet paper here says that you have the right to die, you have the right to starve, you have the right, so you're telling me that a piece of paper rules your life? Can you see how preposterous this is, people? This is how cat shit, bat shit, stupid society has gotten. My rights come from a piece of paper. No, your grace comes from the universal cosmic waitress. I hate to burst your bubble, and they're called God's laws. You have the gift of free will. You have the law of attraction. You have the gift of repentance. These are God's laws, okay? And somehow people got all crazy, and then they read a gospel, and now they're back into a spell, and they don't even realize that there's 2 stories in a gospel. One is about the Son of Man, which comes out of a woman's loins, and the other one is about the sun in the sky. And that's why in the gospel, right, they say to Jesus, so you're the Son of God. And he says, no, I'm the Son of Man. They're telling you something. Just like the kiss of Judas, the kiss of death, the scorpion, is the Scorpio sign, right? Virgo is the Virgin, which is the Virgin Mother, right? So you can see where I'm going with all this, people. So the go spell, they're talking about paganism on one side, and then they're trying to talk about the birth of a man who they're trying to claim was the Son of God, which is the sun in the sky, and it's all nonsense. And then people go to school and you look up school and usually it refers to fish, and we just came out of the age of Pisces. Pi says, right? 3.14. People, I cannot make this shit up. So they're all going to school, and you look up school, and usually it would refer to a school of fish. And people go to school, and they're all learning their lessons, and they're getting programmed. And while they're learning, you take the L out of learning, the other people are earning, you're getting less on, and you are getting programmed, okay? It's like television, right? Television. They're telling lies through your vision, right? And that's why you should not always believe what you see, because the hand is quicker than the eye in magic. You can be deceived, and they call this sleight of hand, right? So people run around and they're using all these terms and like, oh, she makes me so horny. Why would a woman make you so horny? Is she bringing out the devil in you? Now you have a set of horns? People, you should really look at shit, and you take the S out of sex and you have X, and we have a whole world. The people are taking, they're having sex, and then once they're done, they're no longer getting along, and you take the S out of sex, and now they're all called X's, right? And even X is part of your chromosome DNA, and a woman and a man's got one X chromosome, and the women have two. So people, I can't make this shit up. So you're back to semen and semen out of your penis, and you take the IS out of penis and stuff like that, and you have pen, and everybody's running around with a stiff pen. And they're signing things. So anyhow, people, I'm babbling. I just want to leave it at that. Please come out of the spell. Please come out of Babylon. And remember that actions speak louder than words, and talk is cheap, and silence is golden. Why would that be? Because everybody's running around with a war of words. They're all in a fight. Everything is a fight. I have to fight to get this better job. I have to fight to be in charge. Why? Why would you want to be in charge? And then they call it management, man, age, and men. So you want to manage men by being in charge, okay? Yes, we are electrical superconductors, and we are basically walking radio stations, every one of us. So which frequency do you choose to receive or espouse? And you can stop these bad negative energies from coming into you by paying attention and not getting caught up in the spell. Again, you're a walking radio station, so what do you want to tune into? Do you want to tune into a garden and the bees and being barefoot in your garden, and then you've never stepped out of the Garden of Eden? Or do you want to step out of the Garden of Eden and come into a spell and come into Babylon, and then you're all, you know, like I'm hooked on phonics, not stuck on stupid, okay? And then you're back to the Phoenix or the Phoenicians, and people are running around and they're just being so phony. And then they're running around buying their iPhonies, their Apple phones with a fruit on it with a bite taken out, which was basically the apple of their eye, which is all back to a figment of imagination. And you look up magi and you have words like necromancer, voodoo, black spells, casting magic, and then they go to court and they deal with a magistrators. These people are traitors. They're traitors to God. And then they'll run around, and what will the police do? The police will write up a ticket, and they will charge you with an offense. Now they're charging you with being off the fence. They're pulling you off the fence, and they call this an offense. And you people don't even, you're not even aware of this. Just like police, they run around and they are packing heat, for God's sakes, and people don't understand why, you know. And because power is measured in watts, and watt is the measurement of heat. So these cops are packing heat. And nobody runs around going, well, why are you charging me? Or why are you packing heat? Why are you telling somebody to freeze? Are they a sheet of ice? Should they freeze up? Right? These are all very preposterous. So anyhow, I'm going to leave it at this. You're a walking radio station. So what frequency are you tuned into? And there's also a lot of frequencies that you should just be tuned out to. Like, I won't listen to spells, and I won't watch Cinderella. Just add an S instead of a C, and you have Cinderella, and you take the cinder out, and you have Ella. L, back to electricity. These people knew this, okay? The powers, the O's that be, you take power and you take the P out and you take the R and S out and you have O. So are you going to be an Oer of a debt, right? And hence the term innocent. You weren't supposed to deal in cents because that might be called nonsense, and then you live in a century. Cent you are, just add a Y. You are not supposed to live in the century. You are not supposed to be part of the message, and you are not supposed to make sense out of anything because you are supposed to be innocent, and you are not supposed to be part of the sense and the money system that is derived from all this garbage. And people are running around charging up their credit cards, and I'll charge this and I'll charge that, and people haven't got the foggiest goddamn clue of what's going on. So please, people, come out of the spell. I mean, even God spelled backwards spells dog, and then these soldiers, soul die R's, run around wearing dog tags. Why would you wear a dog tag? Are you a mangy mutt? Are you a flea-ridden mutt that should wear a dog tag because you're a soldier? Soul die R, soul, hence the soul of man, the soul of God, the soleil in French, right? Soleil, El, right? El of him, Eloah, right? You're back to electricity, tri-city. Where's everybody live? In a city, ampacity, ampacity, right? So anyhow, I'm babbling. I'm going to leave it at this. Please, 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 people, come out of the spell. This is why silence is gold and actions speak louder than words, because talk is cheap. Talk is bullshit. And these people run around and they call them psychologists and psychotherapists. Look at the words therapist, the rapist, right? So now you want to deal with a psychotherapist. They've already told you that they're psycho and that they are a rapist. And this was a racket that was invented by Ashkenazis. Okay, people, Nazis, Ashkenazis, okay? So anytime you look at words, look at things, and just look at them, and you can avoid being in the spell. Like, do you think you're going to make more money if you're dealing with a broker when you take the R out and you have broke? Does this tell you something, right? And people, and you could even shower people with proof and they would still, well, I'm dealing with a broker. It's like somebody will say, well, I got a real good lawyer working for you. The lawyer doesn't work for you. The lawyer works for money, for fuck's sake. It's like, people, I can't make this shit up. And woe to ye lawyers, for you have hidden the keys of truth and knowledge and wisdom. Okay, people, it's like the old adage, the old joke. What would you call 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of a sea? A good start. Why would they call these lawyers sharks, right? Are you in a shark tank, right? Are you about to get eaten by these sharks, right? Like the whole 9 yards, people. So, like, please, people, just come out of the spell. Try to stay in the private, which didn't deal with the public. You stayed in the private, which dealt with pubic, and now you add an L and you're stepping out of the garden and now you're into the world of public, okay? So, like, what does semen come out of? It comes out of your penis or it comes out of your vagina, and then they join the naval office, but you have a navel in a woman's thing, and they join the naval office, right? Off ice, right? Like, people, and where you birth, you're birthed from your mother's birth canal. And where would you where would a ship be built? It would be birthed in a canal, probably your mother's canal. This isn't by coincidence, and look at the words coincidence, coin insidence, right? Coin. So is this a coincidence? Are we talking about money? Is everything we talking about like you're having company over for dinner? Why are you having company over for dinner? Now you're doing business, and business has a key word in it, B-U, and sin. Business, right? So you are not supposed to do business with people. You are supposed to remain in no sin. You're not of the sense, because that would make no sense. It might make sense, C-E-N-T-S, but it's nonsense, which is non-S-E-N-S-E. Okay, so you can see the play on words, and back to everybody's at a war with words. I'm right, you're wrong. No, this means this. No. And nobody looks up the etymology. Nobody looks up these words at all. And nobody's even come to the conclusion that we're at a war with words, because now the pen is mightier than the sword. And you take the S out of sword and you have word. So everybody's running around, and now instead of killing each other with swords, they're now killing each other with pens, right? And then stores are O-pen for business, and you will owe the minute you sign with a pen, and you take the G out, and you're at sin. You are not supposed to be signing anything, and you are not supposed to be judging people. You are just supposed to simply discern the facts, and you're not supposed to waste your life arguing with people. I see all these families getting divided, like over these vaccines, and look at the term vaccination. You have vaccine and vaccination. So maybe the fact that they're using nation, does that tell you that they want to vaccinate? And you look at vaccinate, and you have A-T-E at the end of it. 8. So do you want to be eaten up by this shit, right? Like, don't get me wrong, there's good vaccines and bad vaccines, but now they're looking to vaccinate the whole nation with a vaccination. Sin. You were told not to deal in sin, and now you're back into a world full of sin. People, I just look at shit and I can rip apart shit. Half the time somebody will say, oh, did you see this, or did you read that, or what's the point? I know it's all a lie. Like history. History has 2 words, his and story, or high story. We all know that the victors write history. So are you getting the true end of the story? Probably not. It's like these people, they'll all go nuts and, we'll kill you if you don't think like we do and you don't believe in, and you take the V and the E out of believe, and you have belie. So you've been lying in something again, and all these people will kill you going, well, Jesus was here and Jesus was right. Then you ask these people, were you here when Jesus was born? No. So how do you know there's a Jesus? Well, because everybody tells me so. You see where I'm going with this, people? The whole thing is goddamn preposterous, okay? Now, do I believe in God? Do I believe there's a God? Absolutely. But please, come out of the spell. Get out of this bullshit. Like, it's like everybody talks World War II. Oh, World War II. X amount of Jews died. Yeah, they died at the hands of Ashkenazis. So you might want to look at who Ashkenaz or Ashkenazis are. Now, some words are comprised of 1 word, some words are comprised of 2. You take pillage and you take the P out, and you have ill age. Everybody lives in a village, you take the V out, and you have ill age, age of the ill. So do you want to live in a village? Is this where you want to live? Do you want to manage men, right? They'll call it management. Is this what you want, people? So anyhow, I'm going to leave it at this. Please, come out of the words, come out of the war of words. And, you even take world, and you take the L and the D out, and you have war, and you take the W out, and you have or, and they use oars because everything's back to a ship, back to a raft, a bank draft, take the D out, raft, take the C out of craft, raft. Why is everything on a raft? Why are you driving around with a driver's license to take the D out of driver's license? Why are you driving around with a river's license when you're on ground? Right? You see how preposterous this is? And then everybody's running to the store going, well, they're having a sale. Why? Do you see sales from a ship? Right? Like, does not an ounce of this occur to you, people? So all you have to do is look at the spell, and when you realize that it's a spell, then you're free. You don't have to go down all these rabbit holes and waste your time and exhaust your time on this and that and all this bullshit. You just realize it's like Jesus. Whether he was here or not, I couldn't give a rat's ass. Do I honestly believe, take the V and an E out, belie in the fact that like some guy died to pay for your sins? How could I die to pay for your sins? You take the whole thing out, and it's all preposterous. Then you'll say, well, I know all these people running around. Well, I know there's a Jesus. How do you know? Have you ever met him? Well, no, but everybody tells me so. So you're belying in something that somebody tells you, and you have no factual, actual proof of this. You've never had the experience of meeting this guy. Can you see how preposterous this is, people? So please, come out of the spell. Even the old "May Christ be in you," like people say, well, you have to go through Jesus to get to God. It's a parable. Are you able to talk at par? Are you able to talk at par? And that's why the old adage is saying, may Christ be in you and also in you, is because it's a good tale of a guy who ran around and tried to help people. And he wasn't selfish. He wasn't trying to sell fish to anybody. He was trying to give a fish and teach you how to fish. And instead, people ran around trying to get greedy. We can all agree to that. Agreed, right? So now we're talking greed again. Look at the words. Agreed. Take the air. Greed. Right? Selfish. Sell and fish. You're supposed to be a giver of fish. You're supposed to teach a man how to fish, not sell fish, okay? So anyhow, please come out of the spell. I could go on with this for months and days and years, but please, 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 I cannot reiterate this enough. Come out of the spell. Come out of Babylon. Stop being an expert in everything, because now you're expert. You're not pro-per, you're expert, because you truly don't know what you're dealing with, and then you want to deal with the stock exchange with a broker. Take the R out and you're getting broke. You're gonna right, you're dealing with a broker, and you take the X out of change and you are getting exchanged at your expense. Pence was a British form of currency, to be frank, which was the French form of currency. Are you coming over for dinner? We're going to have some company. Would you like to do some business? B-U-sin-S, right? B-U-sins, right? You want to be a sinner? Is this what you want, people? So please, just look at the words. And again, shall I be frank with you? At your expense, right? Are you getting exchanged? Do they call this soul trading? Why? Because they're trading your soul on the stock exchange. You're getting exchanged at your expense, to be frank, and you are the stock, and they call you chattel. Take the H out and they call you cattle. They'll call this chattel notes, and then you'll deal with a bank that's called Servus, S-E-R-V-U-S, out west, and you will serve them because you are a slave. And you look up Black's Law and Service, it says a slave. So anybody who says, oh, well, your words, people, these are not my words. You can look at Black's Law. You can get into old etymology, all this stuff. You even look at these world governments, and they're all stealing and looting and grifting and grafting, and back to grift and graft. Take the G's out and you're back to rafting, and they're all rafting along the seas of currency, and you with their oars and their paddles, and people aren't even aware of what's going on. So anyhow, I'm going to leave it at that. I've babbled long enough. It's time to come out of Babylon, because I just don't want to babble. So anyhow, I send everybody much peace, love, respect, always. Till then, keep your heads up, your sticks on the ice. Namaste, cheers, bye, peace. And may God bless you all. Cheers, bye.